Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Takahata's Only Yesterday in 1991. So yes, another Takahata review, another anime. This is a film that I watched roughly 2 weeks ago, nearly. I just couldn't, it was very close between a couple of ratings. I was going to give this, so I had to, as first time watcher, sometimes I do have to kind of let it mellow, let it sink in, and then of course review it. I sometimes do that. If it's a film I've seen many times, of course it's not too hard. But yes, here we are with the Blu-ray here, and yes, it did of course have a 2016, I believe, re-release with an English version as well, and stuff. And yeah, basically, quite big actors voicing that. But for me, that is irrelevant. It didn't. That's not appealing to me. I would never watch, an English version. Of course, I watched the original, 1991, and this is a film. Yes, Takahata. He's definitely appreciated. But this is the one of the main three films. That's not talked about quite as much. Kaguya and Grave of the Fireflies are definitely very famous films. This one's a bit more under the radar. So yes, of course, I have seen the previous two, the other ones I talked about. Grave of the Fireflies, for me, actually, it really moved up even more so on my list when I rewatched it, of course, recently. Kaguya I've never rewatched, but of course I love the film. So yes, it's very hard, after watching this film, to decide which is my favourite of the three. Yes, I think, this film, of course, it is very praised at times, but it's not, for an anime, it's not got that high. On IMDb, it's 7.7, but it has got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was really looking forward to this film. It's basically this character of Teiko. She's a 27-year-old working in Tokyo, and then of course she basically decides to visit her sister's family, brother-in-law and stuff, and goes to the countryside. And basically the first sort of 45 minutes, she's travelling on the train, while most of the film is kind of showing these flashbacks of her childhood, of course, and then she does when she arrives. There are still flashbacks, in the rest of the film, but it's mainly more in the countryside. She meets the character of Toshirô, who's kind of she did know him from school slightly, so it's linked there. Most of the flashbacks are set at school, when she was a younger character, of course, and yes, basically explores childhood, just adolescence, and of course, dreams, aspirations. And this film, I didn't know what to expect, but I was very excited, of course. Some say it's, a masterpiece and one of the best films ever made. Yes, and definitely for me, I absolutely agree. If you haven't seen the film, well, check it out. This film blew me away, and actually for me, came very close to Grave of the Fireflies. I do think after rewatching Grave of the Fireflies that I do prefer it to Kaguya. I think possibly this as well. That's how good it is. I think it's in my top 200 films of all time. This film is absolutely remarkable, and it just, wow, what an experience. This is one of the most wonderful films I've ever seen, and just certainly the first 50 minutes of the film consistently, this could have been very close, if not in my top 100 films. And of course, not to say the rest of the film is not good. It's always perfect for me. Just some films, you have acts or segments that you prefer to other parts. This is the stuff that I love the most about the film. The flashbacks, and stuff, and her childhood. Some of the most, just wonderful, charming moments in cinema for me. And this character of Teiko, just one of the greatest in anime. Just wonderful character here. And of course, you see her, at school. You see her home life. You see her around the table and stuff with her family. And this could not have been better. It really could not have. Of course, once again, written and directed by Takahata. And this guy was a genius. Really knew how to bring out, just true emotions. And the thing I loved. I love everything about the film, but one of the best things about the film, in terms of the visuals, is the way that, and I've not really looked into it too much. I don't know if this was the intention, but the way that the animation is done, is drawn, in the flashbacks, it's kind of got like a white, sort of faded border around the actual the flashbacks. What is going on, within this, and I think, yes, it's to help, of course, distinguish the time periods, but as well, I think, kind of plays into the fact that your memories, not fully even though you do have fond memories and stuff, there's kind of a fading, to the outside of it all, and kind of you don't fully remember exactly everything, but the true emotions you can still remember from certain events in your childhood. And I think this is what it definitely said to me. It's kind of this. I think that it's wonderful the way he done that. It definitely seemed that way. I'm not sure if that is the case. The intention, but the way that it kind of has this faded look to the picture just adds to the dreamlike effect. It makes it more nostalgic, and yes, it does help to distinguish geniusly, but it definitely kind of plays into that. The way that the kind of the memories are slightly faded, but the things that matter and the actual overall the events, the emotions, they're still there, and so powerfully. The flashbacks to this film, as I say, pretty much my top 100. If I had to take all this, the rest of the film is truly wonderful. I think it's definitely extremely high in my top 200, and it's just one of the greatest films ever made. I think the way it portrayed the childhood of Takeo, just absolutely wonderful. It's joyous. It's kind of the innocence of childhood, but again, it does actually. It's quite daring. This film, it doesn't stray too far away from certain things. And once she does get to the countryside and she meets Toshirô, this stuff is also wonderful. And there's actually a really spiritual moment shortly after she arrives, when the sun is coming through. It's kind of the morning when they're in the kind of they're tending to the harvest, kind of getting to work and stuff, and then it's just this wonderful moment. They'll stop the characters, and then of course the sun just comes through, it rises. It's just a wonderful visual moment, and just kind of reminded me kind of Malick films actually a little bit there, and all this stuff. The way she kind of has this escape from the city of Tokyo, it's really wonderful stuff. Of course, it plays into industrialization. These themes, they're quite often prominent in Japanese films in general, certainly anime, and it's just Ozu as well. He really portrayed this in a lot of his films, and just this peaceful nature of the countryside, the kind of more simple life, you could say, and it's so wonderful here. The themes explored in this film are truly perfectly realised, and just the way again he mixes, he blends fantasy, reality. It's truly something. It could not have been better. I cared about all these characters. Of course, our main protagonist mostly, and then of course the fact that it's really a wonderful, fantastical film. Certainly the flashbacks. It was one of the best moments I've ever seen. Is when she flies, just after a very pivotal moment in the film, in the flashback, and it's just it reminds me of Kaguya. There's a kind of similar sequence actually in that, and it's actually for me this is possibly an even greater moment. It really is something else. Probably you'll know what I'm on about in the film quite early on. Basically it's just a wonderful moment. It's brought me to tears, and just the relationship she has, in her childhood, so enjoyable to watch unfold, and just so relatable, and it really brought me back to my childhood. This nostalgic element of the film, it's just so powerful, and just as well, the way you see her, the way she's progressed over the years, now 27 in the present of the film, and of course the relationship she forms in the second half of the film with Toshirô being one. He's a great character, just a really a wonderfully written character, really is so, and the relationships are just wonderful. And of course, she reminisces about her past and stuff, and they talk many talks in the film later on about different things and their differences of life and stuff. But it's also kind of relatable, and it's just a wonderful exploration of humanity, and of course these different themes of modernization, industrialization kind of stuff. It's so smartly done, and it's so powerful. The music, of course, it's truly wonderful, and of course, it's kind of early on. It's set in the '60s, so there's kind of references in there as well to pop culture. But it's just it's all part of the experience. The sense of time and place, so well realized, and just in terms of characters, in terms of narrative, and of course visuals, and just these overall themes of childhood. It's so pure. it's so truly wonderful. It's definitely one of my favourite films of all time, absolutely no doubt. This is a truly wonderful film. Takahata once again, proven, if he had made, certainly if he'd made more films, I could certainly, see how he would be at times just as good as Miyazaki. Maybe not the best works of Miyazaki, but a lot of the ones that are some of Miyazaki's best are not too far from some of these ones, like Grave of the Fireflies. Only yesterday, this guy is truly a genius, and he doesn't get maybe he doesn't get enough credit, Miyazaki, but yeah, I do prefer Miyazaki, but it's a shame sometimes. A film like this was kind of for many years under the radar, and just yes, it's got its re-release and stuff, which I don't care for, an English version. But I think it's definitely a film that if you've not seen, I can honestly say, if you like anime or Japanese films or human films, graveyard films, definitely check it out. Just see what you think. For me, this is just absolutely one of the greatest films of all time. As well as being, kind of joyous film, it's so well rounded. It does show, as well as the kind of innocence, the pleasures and the kind of the joyous moments, as I say, of childhood. It doesn't, it kind of also shows frustrating moments within herself, and the fact that she can't always be, what she wants to be early on in her life, and even her father, he's definitely a very such a well-written character, and of course you do see the kind of the disagreements basically, and the way he kind of tries to control her and stops her from trying to do certain things. But again, it does show the kind of the warmth, what family can bring, and just a wonderful exploration of family and actually just school life, and stuff, and rebellious nature as well, in her teen years and stuff, and it's got so many hilarious moments. This is one of the funniest anime films. It uses Takahata to make it more grounded, more true to life, more realistic, definitely, and at the same time, as I say, it's got this fantastical feel, which just really elevates the film, while also being not technically a fantasy film, but the way he kind of it does definitely go out there and stuff in the flashback scenes. And yes, it's so kind of things are exaggerated, but to the perfect, in the perfect sense, in all the right ways, and it's a perfect combination that is very, very strange at times. If you look at it in paper, but the way that it comes across on screen, the final result is something that cannot be called less than perfection. This vision is truly realised, and just in every sense, this is an absolute masterpiece. And of course, I do give it full marks. And as I've said, it's very, very close to Grave of the Fireflies. I maybe prefer it to Kaguya. I'd have to give that a rewatch because I've only seen it once. But I've seen obviously Grave of the Fireflies twice. That could be overall my favourite Takahata grave now. But this one, I think I possibly prefer it to Kaguya. It's very, very, very close. These three films so different, in tone and everything, and they kind of explore. But they're also wonderful. Certainly a track record. I think this film has to get a plus. It's into my top 200, very, very high in there. It could be, it's probably in my top 150 actually. And yes, gets 100% plus. Tier 2, yes, one of the finest films ever made, and certainly a film that maybe not quite seen as a lot of the anime films, and stuff. But wow, you have to check it out. It is just one of my favourite films. The way it speaks to me, the way it moved me and uplifted me, and just what an escapist film, but also one that really, really was so powerful, and just true to life, and something so unique, so full of atmosphere and kind of and joy. The way that Takahata, as I say, has these flashback scenes, the way they look, and the way they've got kind of a faded look to them on the outside, the edges. It's just so genius. It really does add to the experience visually and emotionally, and just these moments, these standout moments, as I say, including the scene where she kind of flies and stuff, and as well the kind of the sports game, PE and stuff. There's so many standout moments in the film, and of course that moment in the second half, and the ending as well. What an ending to the film! It could not have been better. And yes, it's a film where I do probably prefer the first half overall, but wow, this film is consistently perfect for me, and I found so much comfort in the film, and at its best, it's certainly one of my all-time favourites. You know, as I say, it could have been overall. It could have been in my top 100, or at least very, very, very close. You know, it could have been my absolute favourite Takahata, with no question. You know, I think because of the yes, overall, I think Grave of the Fireflies. It definitely contends with the film. You know, I think consistently, but well, we could, you know, this one could definitely, once I've decided, it could be my favourite Takahata. You know, it's that good, and I just think it's a wonderful film. It's full of wonder, it's full of charm, the humour. This character of Teiko is such a great protagonist. You know, and it's so meaningful, so spiritual, and charming. It's a wonderful, wonderful film. You know, the way it portrays childhood, innocence, and yeah, it's just life in a nutshell. It really is. It's just a wonderful film, and the way it has a fantastical feel, it's truly something else. Definitely one of the greatest films that I've ever seen, personally. Not everyone agree with that. You know, I think, as I say, it's not you know, one of the most popular animated films. Anime, you know, it's got, you know, 7.7 and stuff, and it's not really, you know, included a lot of the time near the top of the rankings, all these anime films. But for me, it's one of the best, and yeah, just one of the greatest films ever made. So yes, check it out, and of course, thanks for watching my review.